Hello, I'm Angie Hart.
I'm Sam Buckingham.
Hello, I'm Katie Noonan.
And I'm Maples.
Well, I just sang my song, which is When You Were Mine, which is a Prince song, which I think was probably made famous by Cyndi Lauper. I'm a fan of both, but Prince's writing and his everything, his production, his playing, he's just such a formidable force, and he's one of the first people I think I got hooked on outside of stuff that my dad was playing. So I went from Queen to Prince, which is probably pretty logical.
Yeah.
But my uncle and aunt took me to see Purple Rain, which blew my mind and left them speechless because they were quite embarrassed to have taken me to such an overtly sexual film at such a young age. But I came away, I went and bought the album the next day and learnt every song, back to, from top to bottom, and have been a Prince fan ever since. And then when we did our first album in Frente, we wrote to his producer and asked him to come and do Marvin the album, which he did. And you probably can't hear a skerrick of Prince on our record, but we're highly influenced.
That's a really great explanation. How am I going to follow that? I picked Another Day in Paradise, which is a Phil Collins song. And the main reason for this is because my dad has been a huge influence, well, in my life generally, but also through music. He introduced me to all sorts of classics like Fleetwood Mac and the Beatles and Sting, and he's a huge Phil Collins fan. And he took me and my sister to Phil Collins live in concert, which was my first live performance experience. And so obviously that really stuck with me, and it was a really special thing to share with my dad and with my sister. And I got a t-shirt, and I wore the t-shirt so much that my sister stole it off me and told me I wasn't allowed to wear it anymore. and it's something, sharing music is something that I do with my dad, and he's really taught me to appreciate it in the way that he does. And so when I listen to Phil Collins, it has a whole lot of depth and meaning for me. And I think the song itself as well is a really important song, and what it talks about and the way that it talks about it, I think is really beautiful and really and really well said, and still very true now. So I think it's a good message to remind people.
Mm-hmm. I picked Last Goodbye by Jeff Buckley, and pretty much when George started, we basically were the Jeff Buckley Appreciation Society, Brisbane office. I was completely obsessed, and that album is a masterpiece, Grace, and it actually just coincidentally, it's 20 years ago that it came out. This year. Yeah,
it's crazy, right?
Yeah, and so it came out when I was in grade 12. So I was really just starting to find my music that I loved myself, that I was picking, the same kind of thing that wasn't influenced by my brother or my parents. And that album just gave me so much hope that beautiful, melodic, interesting music could be successful. Because at that time it was very much that it was the height of the grunge era, which I love as well, but it's difficult for me to imagine myself in there kind of somehow. And I've always been asked to do a lot of Buckley songs over the years, because I guess people know that I do love him, and I waited till now because they're just so special. So it's such a great song, such a great story, and he's just beautiful. Yeah, so yeah.
I chose Radiohead's Street Spirit. I just chose it because I thought it would be something very different to what maybe other girls would have picked. But I grew up being a classically trained pianist. I didn't sing, I only played classical music. I'd never listened to any alternative music until my 20s. Like, it was really strange. And that was, Radiohead were like one of the first alternative bands that I listened to. And
which makes sense because the classical music is such an influence in them too.
Yeah, exactly. And I think those kind of bands are the bands that really impact on me, that have this kind of really solid ground of, being classically trained. And I just remember just being mind blown by their arrangements and Tom York's vocal, and so I just thought, give it a crack.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It's so good. I have it on a loop. I just listen over and over and over again. It's
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
perfect.
Yeah, that was fun. It was fun putting VBs on that one. Yeah.
And now you're going back on the road with the project?
Yes, we are. We're going to be touring. We start in Perth, at the Art Bar in Perth, and we get all the way around Australia. We didn't make it to Tassie this time, but I do plan on doing that. And we are coming to Canberra next year too, so there's a few Canberra people are a bit upset with us. But yeah, we're touring Angie, Sam, myself, and the beautiful Melanie Poole, and hopefully Maples will be able to join us at the Sydney shows.
Yeah, I'll be there for sure.
Yeah.
And she told me this morning she was going to come and drink our rider.
You can have all of my drinks.
Just share the rider.
And that's another nice thing about the tour. Having someone in such perfect form of womanhood is really nice as well, and nice to celebrate. In fact, I remember seeing Deb Conway super pregnant, you know, and I always thought it was really sexy and powerful to see a quite pregnant woman on stage rocking it out.
It's a wonderful time to be on stage, as
Yeah.
you know. There's something about singing and knowing that that's being heard, and it's the first time that you're taking your kid to gigs, which is pretty cool.
Have they started moving yet?
Yeah, and I just feel this overall sense of satisfaction when I'm singing. There's
Yeah.
definitely
The
a
endorphins.
dual enjoyment going on.
Wow.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And another special thing is that on the tour, Zoe Hartman and her husband Ev are our rhythm section, and it'll be their first tour as parents to their newborn Albie.
I didn't know they had a baby.
Yeah.
No. Are you serious? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He's never played on my album.
Oh.
Yeah, and I haven't seen him in about a year. So that's happened in a
There you
year.
go. Yeah.
This is the show.
Like it happened in 9 to 12 months.